Welcome to Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. I'm Jamie G. He's Magnum Mills, and we're helping you seize the gap so that you can stop being so inefficient. We're kicking off our playoff coverage with the two Saturday games of the divisional round.
I can't believe he did it. He said the word playoffs without saying it in a Jim Mora fashion. Hope you're not disappointed with that or with this episode of Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Thank you very much for checking out the show. You can find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF. Same spot on the web, seizethegapff.com. Nice and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please remember to hit the thumb. And please know we are not affiliated with Draftkings or the Draftkings Sportsbook, but that's where we're getting our odds and wagers from. Everything is accurate as of January 14th, 2026. Still sounds a little funny to say.
As always, we got to start out with the tail of the tape, starting with the 4:30 p.m. game on CBS. Go Bills.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of vested interest in this one for Jamie G as his 12-5 Buffalo Bills are traveling to Denver to face the 14-3 Broncos, the number one seed in the AFC. Bills once again, just like Jacksonville, actually opened as a 1.5 point favorite, got quickly bet up to the point where the Bills are now a 1.5 point road dog, minus 105 on the money line, while the Broncos are favored by 1.5 points at home, minus 115 on the money line. Game total is 45.5 points. Looking like a cold one here. Maybe not epically cold, but we're looking at temps in the mid 30s, winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. The Buffalo Bills are certainly banged up at the wide receiver position. Wide receivers Gabe Davis and Terrell Shavers are both out for the season with ACL injuries. Keep an eye on Curtis Samuel. He could possibly return from IR, help the Bills out at wide receiver, while cornerback Maxwell Harrison and running back Ty Johnson are both questionable. Johnson did not practice on Wednesday, so it could be a touch closer to doubtful than questionable. Unfortunately for the Bills, the Denver injury report looking pretty clean with them coming off of the bye. The nightcapper kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. We have a NFC West rematch here. The 12-5 49ers are traveling to Seattle to face the 14-3 Seahawks. San Francisco is currently a 7 point road dog, down by a touchdown, plus 275 on the money line. Seahawks, the number one seed in the NFC, favored by a touchdown at home, minus 345 on the money line. Game total is 45.5. That did just kick up, so the juice is heavy on the under, minus 115. Kind of cold here, not as cold as Denver. Looking at temps in the low 40s. Not much wind here, call it 5 miles per hour or less. For the 49ers, they will be without tight end George Kittle. He tore his Achilles, so he is out for a while. Keep an eye on wide receiver Ricky Parasol for the 49ers. Missed last week, got in a limited practice on Wednesday. Consider him questionable. For the Seahawks, offensive tackle Charles Cross looks set to return for the Seahawks, putting them more or less at full strength. All right, Jamie G, not going to ask you to go too much into the Bills here. I know it's tough sometimes. You don't want to reverse jinx yourself or whatever. You just want to win the game, basically. I guess really is, the Bills' run defense has been a problem, but the Denver offense has been very inconsistent. They've been actually kind of right up there with my Eagles in terms of not putting together an entire game. They'll have a good half. A lot of times the second half, kind of the reverse of the Eagles, who started good and then finished slow. Do you think the Bills' defense can step up here, kind of muddle this up, at least do enough against the run to keep the game within reach until it's Josh Allen time at the end?
I think so. And one of the things that's been a subtle um, impact here, and I think it's been better, is the running defense, the rush defense up the middle. Now they got exploited really bad last week on the outside of the tackle box against Jacksonville. I mean, that's where they were killing them. But when you really look at it, the last couple weeks of the season here, up the middle, they've been pretty good at stopping the run consistently there. And I think a big piece of that is Shaq Thompson coming in at middle linebacker with an injured Terrell Bernard. He's just better against the run. They're still not perfect. There's still issues there, but I expect them to come out and just do enough and disguise enough to confuse. They're going to need a turnover like they got last week. They can steal a possession or two. And I think the defense can do enough here. But really, when you look at what the Bills have on offense, I think this has got to be a James Cook game. Long, time-consuming drives, and being able to control the clock with running the football. It's gonna be a big ugly kind of game with the offensive line, and we're gonna need the defensive line to step up as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ugliness could be a theme across all of the games for this entire weekend for the most part. Mention how banged up the Bills are. Who do you think can step up there? Obviously, you have Khalil Shakir. You have Brandon Cooks, who's been proven to be a pretty wise pickup there mid-season. And then you have Keon Coleman. Maybe you get Curtis Samuel back. I mean, there's only one Patrick Surtain out there. They do have a couple of good other players in that secondary. But who do you think steps up here? Is it one of those wide receivers, or could it perhaps be one of the tight ends?
I think it's going to be the tight end. I think the wide receivers, you saw Khalil Shakir step up last week. I don't know that he's got another 12 catches in him this week. I mean, we'll see. But I look at Dalton Kincaid and I keep saying it's got to happen, right? He's kind of their big play threat down the field. Besides Brandon Cooks, Brandon Cooks really stepped up last week, and really since they got him, he could have had three, impact plays in a row. He dropped the first two in the first two games. And then he made one that final week, and then we saw him again, in the playoffs there. So last week, make a big play. So I think he will, but I think from a consistent like beating man or getting open down the field for a big play consistently, I think this is Dalton Kincaid time, man. We really need him to step up and be that guy.
Yeah, and I mean, it probably wouldn't hurt, right? Don't they have to make a decision on his fifth-year option pretty soon, which will be a fairly big number for a tight end? So, it's probably in everyone's best interest for him to have a big game, including all the dynasty rosters on which I own him. Are you worried at all here? You have the short week. You're playing at altitude. Denver's coming off the bye. They're fully rested. Do you think this is a case where if you can just kind of survive the first half of the first quarter or something like that, it should all even out? Or are you worried that this will kind of be an advantage for Denver as the game stretches on?
It's 100% an advantage for Denver. I mean, there's the NFL is, I can't believe they decided to take the number one seeds and have them play on Saturday, and then have the teams playing against them get the short week. And it just blows my mind, taking the Sunday games from last week and putting them this Saturday. I just really frustrating stuff there. That said, I think it's definitely an advantage. But I do think that, if Buffalo can slow this game down and establish a run game, last week they did not establish a run game at all. And credit Jacksonville, they're really good against the run. I think if they can do that this week, it will certainly help things kind of even out this game, in terms of possessions and how many possessions Denver's offense actually gets.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely the way that they need to go. They're going to have to play pretty clean, obviously, but I think establishing the run is huge. That's easily the best way to attack this Broncos defense. So let's hope that James is cooking. Let's kick a little hot fire here. A hot prediction, a bold take for the game. I'm going to go with this being a fairly low scoring affair, at least in the first half, especially. I'm saying there are under 14 points scored in the first half total between both teams, and then neither team gets above 24 points. So maxing out at 24 points for either team, 14 or less points in the first half. Feel like that's pretty bold, even though it's cold out. Jamie G, what do you have for us? Spit a little hot fire.
Well, we talked about it, man. I got James Cook rushing for 150 plus yards and getting in the end zone twice. One of those classic James Cook days. And I'll just tell you right now, Mills, if he does this, I like the Bills to go to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you really like James Cook to do that, you might as well go ahead and parlay it with the Bills money line, right? Because at that point, I think that's the formula for victory there. You think Cook's going to find the end zone choice, but we need to dig a little bit deeper here for our vulture men, the creeper guys, the unexpected guys, the guys with long odds finding the end zone. I'll go first here. I got to go with my guy, Marvin Mims Jr., the Broncos wide receiver. Basically, because he can do it in any phase of the game. He can bust a return for a touchdown. He can have a long pass. They even hand him the ball off occasionally, work him out of the backfield. So at plus 750, I know he's not going to get a lot of touches, but he is a dude who can take one to the house at any time. So I'm going with Marvin Mims Jr. plus 750 as my vulture man. Jamie G, who do you got? Who's the sneaky creepy finding the end zone this week?
I'm going with little Jordan Humphrey. Big target. I could picture him Bo Nix putting one up high in the air. In the Bills secondary, just not being able to get up there and get after it. And I just, yeah, I'm gonna go a little Jordan Humphrey here for a red zone target.
And also because he just likes saying Little Jordan Humphrey. I mean, how
Who
many
doesn't?
times is a professional athlete named like a rapper? Just not very often. So it's very cool when it happens. Let's move on to the nightcapper here. We have the 49ers at the Seahawks. This has not been a pair of very fun matchups to watch unless you like defense. San Francisco scored 17 points at Seattle in week one and then only 3 points against Seattle in their matchup in week 18. What do you think, Jamie G, against this defense with no George Kittle? Can the 49ers find their way to at least 20 points?
I think it's going to be tough. Can they? Yes. They've got some other players with Robinson and Juan Jennings, and at times this year we've seen Tunges flash. But I'm worried, man. I just think, I don't want to have too much recency bias with that last game of the season where they only put up 3 points against this defense. This was an explosive offense, and at times they've missed Kittle and they've still been able to put up points. But I'm worried that they're about them eclipsing that 20-point marker.
I think if they can get there, they have the chance. But given the way the 49ers defense has played and just how good Seattle's been running the ball, if nothing else, it feels like they're getting to, I think, at least in that, 17 to 20 point range. So I think the 49ers have to kind of find a way to get there. I mean, they've held the Seahawks to exactly 13 points in their first two matchups. What do you think the odds are that they could do it for a third time? Just unlucky 13, three in a row. I don't know. It feels like the universe works that way a little bit, right? So maybe I'm just trying to make that happen. The 49ers defense really struggles to rush the passer, but the Seahawks pretty much only have one real weapon in the passing game. That is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Do you think the 49ers are going to go ahead and just sell out, do everything they can, make the Seahawks beat them another way? Or do you think Smith and Jigba is going to find his way to another big game here?
I think he finds his way to production. I mean, that's kind of all they've had all year. Once, Torrey Horton went down and they've lost that number two wide receiver kind of throughout the year. So even with Cooper Kupp in there, they've never really had anybody emerge. So and somehow, some way, Jackson Smith and Jigba has put together, by far the best season of his career. So I think he'll find a way.
I think so too. Even if they do try to sell out to stop him again, the lack of a pass rush I think will certainly hurt. I mean, does it come down to Darnold? If Darnold has zero turnovers, do the Seahawks just win? Do the 49ers at least need to force one bad Sam decision to have a shot?
I think they probably need to steal a possession here. I mean, and look, it's a division game. It's hard to beat the same team multiple times. I gotta believe San Francisco will have a better game plan going into this game than they did, a couple weeks ago when they played. So they've got a chance, but I think if they can get a turnover, big special teams play, something like that, I think that will definitely help them get things in their favor.
Yeah, barring a turnover, big special teams play probably the way to go. As far as the Seahawks offense, do you think they can just keep rushing the ball the way they have for the last month or so? They've really had this two-headed monster going on for them. Do you think they can maintain that against a San Francisco rush defense that's kind of middle of the road?
Yes, I do, and give Robert Saleh credit. I mean, he's doing what he can with what he's what he's got to work with there. I mean, they've lost a lot of top players on that defense, but I think that they'll come prepared in this one. But even with it, I just still see Seattle being able to run the football. It's who they are. They run the football. That'll open up some play action stuff, and they're going to play really good defense and stop the run. That's just kind of how they're built and who they are.
Yeah, they've always had two talented running backs. It just seemed like they can never get either one of them into a real rhythm, and they've seemed to find a way to do that and have them working well as a tandem recently. So if they keep that up, I think the 49ers are in trouble. That's not that hot of a take. We need to get a little bit bolder here for our hot fire. A couple of bold takes, hot predictions. Jamie G, you can lead us off for this one. Spit some hot fire here for this 49ers at Seahawks matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Seattle at home holds San Francisco to under 150 total yards of offense. They just don't get anything going here.
They do that. George Kittle might try to come out in the field, in his cast and everything like that, and just start trying to cause some havoc. I'm right there with you. You know what? I'm going to say third time is the charm. I'm saying the Seahawks win 13-9 in an ugly, ugly affair, unless you like defense and field goals. I think it could be a good one for those. Now we need to find our vulture men here, the guys who are stealing the touchdowns. I am going with one of the ultimate kind of thieves here. One of the archetypes for this is usually like the second or third tight end. 1,000. How about Eric Sauber, plus 1,500 now? Getting a little bit of burn here. I think he's had like two targets in four of the last five games, something like that. But unfortunately, I think he's also a former 49er. So you get the revenge narrative here. Gotta love that at plus 1,500 for the backup tight end. Just needs one catch for 1 yard and one touchdown to pay it off. Jamie G, how about yourself? Who's your vulture man for the nightcap?
I'm gonna go with Sam Darnold himself. Just imagine that, right? I mean, you think it's gonna be Kenneth Walker the third, or maybe Charbonnet, or JSN, or maybe even Barner, right? But no, Sam Darnold scrambles in from the 2 or 3 yard line, steals that touchdown, plus 800 odds for old Sam.
That's kind of, I don't know if it's funny or ironic, but that's literally what my other option was. Just because I had the bold prediction, maybe there's probably only one touchdown in the entire game. So I'm like, oh, of course, Sam Darnold will have his rushing touchdown because that's how this works.
Well, go ahead and open that DraftKings app because it's time for another edition of Down with the King. We're going to help you out in the DraftKings Showdown contest, starting with the matchups between my Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos. Mills, right away here, we need to make the most crucial decision. Who do we play as our captain? Oh, captain, my captain.
And he loves this because he knows the obvious answer, which is probably the correct answer here, especially if you're playing in a cash game, a double up, a head to head, small tournament, single entry, something like that. Do not overthink it. Pay all the way up to $18,000 for Jamie G's hero, Josh Allen. Do not overthink this one. He's had between 24 and 37 DraftKings points in four of the last five games where he's played more than one snap. So discounting the season finale there. He's been on fire. You can certainly use him as a large field tournament captain if you would like, but he is going to be the most expensive and most popular captain. So I try to come off of those a little bit in the larger field contest. So I think if you want to swerve here, maybe you go ahead and you hope that the Broncos lean on the rushing attack, play RJ Harvey, the rookie running back, at 14,400. Before week 18, he found the end zone in five straight games, 21 or more DraftKings points in three of the last six. So there's a little bit of a ceiling there. Really is just about the matchup here, but I'm not sure he has the high enough ceiling. You're really playing the matchup, but he's not going to catch a ton of ownership. So again, if you're trying to get off of Josh Allen in a large field tournament, not a bad way to go. Jamie G, you mentioned your guy, James Cook. He is 16,800 at captain. My stance on Cook this week is if he hits, you probably want him in your captain spot, right? So I'm not quite fully captain or bust on Cook, but I'm pretty close to it. Do you agree with that, or do you think there is some utility of trying to play him in the flex? Keep in mind, very expensive to play him in the flex with Josh Allen at captain. So I'm kind of leaning towards just going all in on Cooks a captain if I'm getting exposure. Do you agree with that take?
Yeah, I like it. I do think there's a world where they both. I mean, we've kind of seen this. This is all the points are going to come from either one of these two guys, right? And I think this just feels like a James Cook game. It just doesn't feel like he's going to have two games in a row in the playoffs where he doesn't get yards and have like a nice classic James Cook game. So. And I think it's really the way to beat this team. That they're really strong on the back end. The Bills are so banged up at the receiver position. As of today, they have three active receivers on their roster. It just, it just feels like a James Cook week. So I do think there's a case for it in the captain spot, but I also think there's a case for it in the flex too. Just considering maybe some value plays from the Broncos.
Yeah, you would have to find some value to make it work, but you could. And I think that strategy works better with the Bills playing the star quarterback and the running back than almost any other team, or at least it
Yeah.
has for the most part this season. So I think that that's somewhat viable. If you were going to try to find another Broncos captain, would it be Bo Nix at 16,200 or Cortland Sutton for the Honeys, 13,200? Nix has shown a little upside, three games with 29 or more DraftKings points, did have a 40 burger. Sutton, not that much, two games with 26 or more DK points, but that's about it. But he is $3,000 cheaper. If you had to roll a different Bronco captain other than RJ Harvey, would it be Nix or Sutton?
Yeah, I think it would be Knicks here just because I love, if I need the savings, obviously Sutton, but I think I'm going Knicks here just kind of assuming he's going to most of the points are going to come on his shoulder.
I think you have to kind of go that way. Again, it's more expensive with the quarterback, but he does have a rushing component
He
available that
does.
adds to his upside, and he spreads the ball around. I mean, Sutton has been, the leading receiver, but Troy Franklin takes a turn. You have Pat Bryant back. They're still trying to find more snaps for Marvin Mims. They work in Lil Jordan Humphrey. God forbid Adam Troutman goes a game without a target or two. So, I think there's enough there that makes Sutton just a little bit less of a ceiling option. So if you're going the other way, I think you're right. I think you probably pay up the extra 3K for Bo Nix.
If Josh Allen costs around 18,000, we're definitely going to need to find some value plays. So come on down as the next contestants on The Price is Nice.
If you are a little bit, squeamish about paying up for RJ Harvey, he hasn't had the greatest results, but he's had the good matchup here. You could just go all the way down to Jaleel McLaughlin, the other Broncos running back, at 2,400. I do think there is a world if you want to think that the Broncos just really try to lean on the running backs. You could double stack the Broncos running backs with the Denver defense and just kind of build out a lower scoring, ugly affair kind of game. It certainly seems like we'll get at least a couple of those this weekend. I mentioned him as my vulture man. Marvin Mims Jr. is 2,800. He's an interesting play because you can stack him up with the Denver defense as a returner and or Bo Nix as a quarterback option. So I like him as someone you could stack at 2,800. He's no Lil Jordan Humphrey, not that great of a name, but the rookie Pat Bryant is a bigger wide receiver for the Broncos. They've used him a little bit in the red zone over the last month of the season. He's only $4,000. I don't think I'm going to play him naked without Nix at that price point, but I don't mind stacking him with Nix at 4K. And Jamie G, we teased it a little bit here. You have the other Bills wide receivers. Brandon Cooks is 5,400. Curtis Samuel, if he plays, is 2,600. Keon Coleman right in the middle at 3,400. Do you pay up for Cooks here, or are you willing to maybe take a chance on Samuel if he plays or Coleman?
Yeah, I mean, Curtis Samuel hasn't played in a while. I'm a little nervous about that. He did kind of have similar thing last year where he was hurt and inconsistent and then stepped up in the playoffs. I like the price tag, but I don't think I can get there. Coleman is intriguing at 3,400. You see him flash a little bit the last week or two. I like that, but I think Cooks is, he's their down the field threat guy. It's a little rich at 5,400, but my choice is either Cooks or Coleman,
So
depending on
yeah,
my.
so you'd rank him Cooks, Coleman, Samuel, then more or
Yeah,
less.
I would.
Fair enough. I think I'm probably with you in that Cooks is my favorite. It all depends if you need that extra money, right? This is a slate where I could see that $800 difference between Samuel and Coleman maybe being a thing. And maybe Coleman returns a couple of kicks too, and you could stack him with the Bills defense, give you at least another way to attack. If he plays, and it doesn't sound like he will, but Ty Johnson is 3K flat. To me, he feels like the kind of guy who could have a big role in the passing game with this kind of difficult matchup if they can't get the rushing attack going. Will you have any interest in Ty Johnson if he's out there?
I will. He's they love him on third downs. He's got the passing game upside. It wouldn't shock me. He had a touchdown last year against the Broncos in the playoffs, so I absolutely would have interest at 3,000. They trust him. He's going to be on the field a lot.
Yeah, and you can stack him with Josh Allen, and he's going to have very, very low ownership because of the injury. But I would expect if the Bills clear him to play, he'll be out there playing his normal role. So, a very nice tournament play, I think.
We've got some quality captain options and at least a few value plays. How are we filling out the rest of the flex spots?
Well, obviously, if you're not playing him at captain, you want to get Josh Allen in there. Probably he is $12,000 in your flex, so he's going to cost a pretty penny. I'd also try to get RJ Harvey in there based on the matchup, his involvement at the goal line in the passing game. He is 9,600. We talked about James Cook, 11,200. I'm more inclined to go with him at captain, but we have mentioned you can definitely play him with Josh Allen, and he can be a viable option in the flex. Then you have Bo Nix, 10,800. What do you think, Jamie G? If you were trying to, would you rather go ahead and stack up? You play Josh Allen at captain. Would you rather play him with Cook or run it back on the other side with Bo Nix and maybe hope for a little bit more of a shootout?
Man, my heart says Cook, but I understand the logic. I think there's certainly a place with Bo Nix as well. I mean, I could see this game, going over just as much as I can see it going under.
Yeah, this game I would think has the widest range of outcomes probably of any of the four on the weekend here. So again, I think I'm probably just if Cook's gonna have the game, I probably want him a captain more. But Nix has not had the crazy ceiling other than the 40 burger in that game against the Packers that went absolutely crazy. But we've seen that happen before, kind of the weird first halves where they fall behind, have to catch up. So I don't know if it's the absolutely most nuts thing. And then we have the guys who are probably the two most likely targets for Josh Allen. Khalil Shakir's 8,200, Dalton Kincaid 6,400. 2,500. Do you have a preference between the two? My guess would be you'd probably save the 1,800 and go with Kincaid. But do you have a preference between the two?
Well, I think if you got the money, I think Shakir too, because I mean he was targeted what 12, 14 times last week. I think caught 12 of them. At one point he had like 10 targets and 10 catches. So I mean that alone, the volume, I think it's a much, a safer floor. The ceiling is probably higher with Kincaid, um, but it's only if he gets in the end zone.
If you were going to play Josh Allen and say not play James Cook with him, would you rather just stack him up with Shakir and Kincaid, or would you take one of these two and then maybe try to get one of the value plays, maybe a Brandon Cooks type in there or something like that?
Yeah, I think I would. I think I'd probably try to take Shakir, and then maybe if Ty Johnson plays, I really like that as an option.
Okay, I like what you're putting down there because I think it'll be kind of pricey to play Shakir and Kincaid, and I think that'll also
Yeah.
be probably the most popular build, so it might be a good one to get off of. We got Cortland Sutton for the Honeys, 8,800. Franklin, the second wide receiver for the Broncos, 7,800. Any preference between the two, or is this one of those cases where if you had 10 lineups, you go 5 and 5?
Yeah, it's $1,000 that matters, especially when you're playing, Bills players that are super expensive and some of the, if you want to get Knicks in there. But I think I'd rather Cortland Sutton again. I think I'd rather take the volume. I mean, Troy Franklin, I think has the big playability and everything, but I think I'd rather Sutton here for the $1,000 difference.
I think so too. Sutton has shown the higher ceiling, and I'm not going to be playing a ton of cash games on this slate, so you could argue that the floors are similar, but I think the extra $1,000 for Sutton for the Honeys is worth it for access to that higher ceiling. Let's finish up this game by packing a stack in the back of the act, give you a little mini stack to get you started. No surprise at captain. We're going with Jamie G's hero, Josh Allen, $18,000. Going to run it back in the flex with both of the Broncos running backs, RJ Harvey at 9,600, Jaleel McLaughlin at 2,400, and then throw Brandon Cooks in there at 5,400. Leaves you 7,300 per player. I think you have some good bones here. And spoiler alert, I think this leaves you just about enough. If you wanted to play Kincaid and Shakir, you could do so. You like kind of this structure, Jamie G? If you were going to play Josh Allen without James Cook, you're basically running it back with the Broncos running backs and then still letting yourself kind of triple stack Allen. You think this kind of build has some upside here?
I think it does. I mean, and look, you're going against what's arguably been the Bills' biggest weakness all season is their inability to stop the run, right? So I mean, you got to think Sean Payton's going to want to do that. We'll see if he gets cute and decides to get away from it when it's working, kind of like Liam Cohen did last week in Jacksonville. But it remains to be seen. But no, I think there's certainly merit to that, and I like the optionality with $7,300 remaining with another two spots to
Yeah, you
fill.
could get to Cook if you wanted to, if you're willing to dumpster dive for the other guy. So that's
You
what we
could.
try to give you. Just a mini stack that's, decent enough to at least fit in the back of your act. Very important, especially if you actually own an Acura.
We got a crazy, and I mean crazy NFC West rematch between the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks to close out Saturday night. Who do we like as our captain in this one?
Oh, captain, my captain, if you are playing in a cash game, head to head, double up, small tournament, something like that, I think you go with JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 17,100. He basically has the same ceiling as Christian McCaffrey, but a higher floor at this point. So, again, I don't think you overthink this one. You can obviously play JSN as your captain in a large field tournament, but if you are going to play in one of those, again, he is not quite the most expensive guy, but he's just a little bit cheaper than Christian McCaffrey, $600 cheaper. But I expect him to be a fair bit higher owned a captain. So I think in a large field tournament, you could pivot to Christian McCaffrey at 17,700. He has definitely been more of a Bob than you would think lately, a boom or bust player. Only had 11.7 DK points in that week 18 matchup. But other than that game, he's had at least 29 points in the other three of the last four games he has played in. So there's certainly a ton of upside, especially in the passing game here. I think obviously those are the two top plays. Jamie G, if you were going to play a quarterback here, captain, is it Brock Purdy at 15,900 or Sam I am Darnold at 15,600?
It's tough, man. I'm probably going Purdy with more of a rushing upside. He's shown the ability to kind of scramble and use his legs. He's also rushed for a few touchdowns this season. I think I'm probably leaning there. But honestly, my biggest beef with Seattle is that I really want to just like lean on that run game and plug one of them in as the captain. but I don't know which one. And that's what's so frustrating about it. And it's almost like, you can't afford both. It's a guessing game, and it just really chaps my ass. And I just thanks for coming to my TED Talk on that.
Yeah, you ain't lying. I think I'm probably with you there on Purdy, especially because playing Purdy a captain still gives you access to Christian McCaffrey via the passing game, even if you don't play him because of cost constraints. You mentioned the Seahawks running backs, Kenneth Walker the third, 12,600 a captain, Zach Charbonnet 12,300. One of them could go off, but more likely they'll both like if it's a great Seattle rushing game, they'll both have like 18 points exactly, making them both kind of good flex plays. But I don't know if neither on their own with both healthy has enough upside to play at captain. Jamie G, no George Kittle here. Would you ever consider the Seahawks DST 6,300 a captain? They do have 3 games this season with 19 or more DK points, so that is 3xing their salary.
I think in some large contests to get some variation, I think I would. I like this, especially on base. Look, they've held him to 13 points. I'm sorry, they've held him to 3 points the last time they played. Seattle's defense has been dominant. They're super healthy, coming off the bye week here. They're at home. I think I could talk myself into it, especially in those larger field contests.
It's so easy. It like builds itself. You play the Seahawks DST at captain. You play both running backs. You play Jason Myers. You play Christian McCaffrey. And I don't know if you have enough room for JSN left, but I think you got a stew going at that point. So that's one of those lineups. I think if you're going to go with that kind of build where the Seahawks DST is going to have, 10 plus points, I think it almost builds itself at that point. So I always like those.
Yes, we do. And once again, we need to find some value to afford these pricey captains. Mills, go ahead, pretend that I'm Bob Barker. I have the awesome microphone and tell us if the price is nice.
Yeah, he never had any fear, right? He had the very long, very skinny microphone and was very proud of it. And don't argue with him or he'll tell you that the price is wrong, bitch. First up here, cheapest guy I could see myself getting to is Eric Saubert. He is now the tight end two for the Seahawks with Elijah Rowe on IR. Could get 2, 3 targets for $600. Doesn't really need to do much more. God forbid he catches a touchdown. Jamie G always loves him as it did. Kind of surprised he didn't take him as a vulture man here. Kyle Juszczyk could be more of a stacking option with Brock Purdy with no George Kittle available. He's only 2,400. We talked about the Seattle DST as a captain option. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to them probably in my flex at 4,200. I wish that you could Jake Tonges here. I wish he was Jake just straight Tongs so he could do the Tong song here. He's 4,400. When he filled in for Kittle as a starter during the season, he had 4 games with 11 or more DK points. Jamie G, what's your level of interest in Jake Tong song here, the Tong song?
Yeah, let me see that Tong. I like him. I think he's in line for 4 targets. I'm hoping 2 of them, come in the red zone. With Kittle out here, you saw him go to use check last week. I think this week they game plan a little bit better. I think Kittle is going to be a big part of that game, and this week it's Tunges that gets that work.
I agree with you, and I think that's actually one of the better ways to attack this Seahawks defense is with the tight end. So I'll have a lot of exposure to him. Slightly more expensive, you have the Seahawks starting tight end, AJ Barner's 4,600. Had a couple of decent games this season, should get like 3 to 6 targets. So you could certainly do worse, especially if you're stacking him up with Sam Darnold. Jason Myers, the Seahawks kicker, was almost a record-setting kicker this season. Only 2 games the entire year with less than 8 DraftKings points and 5 games with 15 or more DraftKings points. So decent chance to 3x his salary here makes him a very viable play. I don't love Raheed Shaheed for the most part. He's 5,200, but he is a guy like Marvin Mims Jr. You can double stack with Sam Darnold and the Seahawks defense because he is a very capable returner and a guy who could pay off with one long touchdown reception. So pretty much tournament only stacking option with Darnold or the Seahawks DST, but there's not a lot of value in this game. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Let's put it all together here. Who can we spend some of our savings on to fill out the flex and build out this roster?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to spend it all. If Christian McCaffrey 11,800 in your
Yeah.
flex, Jackson Smith and Jigba 11,400. Going to want as much exposure to those guys as I can get. I think we would both probably slightly prefer Brock Purdy here, 10,600 in your flex. You can stack him with McCaffrey. You can stack him without McCaffrey. Definitely cheaper to do so without McCaffrey. But again, if the 49ers are going to find some way to do this. It will probably involve Brock Purdy getting the ball to Christian McCaffrey. Sam Darnold's 10,400. Probably better suited as a flex play because he doesn't have the crazy ceiling. But at the end of the day, maybe you would just prefer to play the Seahawks running backs. Jamie G, it sounds like we could possibly get Ricky Parasol back here for the 49ers. He is 7,800. Juwan Jennings has been an extremely high floor option, but hasn't shown much of a ceiling. 8,800, but no George Kittle. Do you have a preference between the two here? As you know, obviously assuming that Parasol plays.
Yeah, I don't know how healthy Parasol is going to be. I think I'd probably just rather pay up for Jennings.
Fair enough. I think in a tournament, I'm probably taking the chance on Parasol because I think a lot of people are just going to be concerned. It's a psychological thing. Whenever there's a questionable tag out there, the ownership tends to get depressed a little bit. Just more upside. But I mean, Juwan Jennings until last week, and I think between like 30 and 50 yards, 3 to 4 catches and a touchdown in like 5 or 6 straight games. So the man had just basically been someone you could bank on for 18-ish DraftKings points. So that's a pretty easy 2x of the salary. If you had to pick between the Seahawks running backs, do you even want to? Kenneth Walker the third, 8,400. Zach Charbonnet, 8,200. Is this a pure like 50-50 split? Do you have a preference, or would you actually try to find a way to play them both if you can?
I don't think I can play them both. I think I'm probably just going to take the cheaper of the two with the Charbonnet and hope I'm lucky. I haven't figured out the right way to deal with these two running backs other than in a best ball league. So it's really difficult. I think I'm probably going to go Charbonnet at 8,200. I just yeah, I don't have any no science to it.
I would say for the most part, this is a case where if you're going to play one of these guys, given that they're only $200 apart in the flex, just throw a different lineup with the other Seahawks running back into at least some
Yeah.
throw it in the 25-cent thing. Just throw it in something just in case it works that way. They're so closely priced that you can basically build out the same lineup for the most part and just play two variations of it, one with Walker, one with Charbonnet. I do think if you do want to double stack them, that's when you consider absolutely working the Seahawks defense in and just kind of plan on them maybe running over the 49ers a little bit. Final order of business, got to pack that stack in the back of the ack. We have Christian McCaffrey in the captain spot here, going to lean into a little bit more of a tournament build. He is 17,700. Jackson Smith and Jigba is 11,400 in your flex. Throw in the Tong Song there. Jake Ton just 4,400. And the kicker, Jason Myers, 5K flat, leaves you about 5,800 to fill it out. Do you like this, Jamie G, or do you think this is a chance? Like you see how thin it gets when we play McCaffrey and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Do you think you're going to be willing to play some lineups without one of these guys on the weekend here? Is it kind of scary, going away from one of these two guys given the ceilings that they have?
I don't know that I'm going to be able to because you really look at the offensive production, especially McCaffrey. I just don't know where it's going to come from outside of that. And Jackson Smith Majigga has just been, you can't take him out of your lineup all season, right? You got to believe that's going to continue here. And for what it's worth, I know everyone's worried about Darnold kind of doing what Darnold does. I think he learned something from last year, having the bye with Minnesota and then going out there and laying an egg. Also, he's not playing the Rams. So I think that there's an opportunity here for him to have a better performance, and that's usually a good thing for Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Dear God, how hard is Sam Darnold rooting for the Bears this week? He might be the biggest Bears fan on the planet here. So that's it. Packing a stack in the back of the act. Christian McCaffrey, a captain, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jake Tonjes, Jason Myers. You're welcome.
I hope you guys are ready to make some moolah because it's time for a little bet it, bank it, blow it.
All right. Please remember, we are not affiliated with the DraftKings Sportsbook, but that's where we're getting our odds and wagers from. Everything is accurate as of January 14th, 2026. Here on Bet It, Bank It, Blow It, our preferred currency is the Cricket coin. In Cricket, we trust, so all of our wagers will be in the form of Cricket coins. We like to open things up with the Golden Grab Bag. These are wagers that we like. They're not necessarily our favorite wagers, but they don't really fit into anything else we're doing. Last week, Jamie G, you turned a profit in the Golden Grab Bag on Saturday of about 137 coins. I missed both of my wagers, so I took a loss of about 200, putting us down about 63 overall. In the playoffs, in the Golden Grab Bag, you're up about 291 coins. I'm down about 133, so at least still turning a profit there. And then overall, with the regular season and playoffs included, Jamie G, you're doing well here. You're up about 1,457 coins in the grab bag. I am down about 792, still leaving us up about 665 overall. Jamie G, what do you have to offer us here for the golden grab bag for these Saturday games of the divisional round?
Yeah, man. First up here, I'm going to put 100 coins on the Bills in Denver over 43 and a half total points. It's an alternate total. It's minus 148, so 100 coins there to win back 167. Buffalo's been averaging around 28 points or so. Denver's been averaging around 22, 23. I think they can both. I know the defense of Denver is really good, but I think the Bills are pretty good at scoring points. And Buffalo's defense, there's certainly opportunity there to move the ball and score against it. So I like the over 43 and a half here. I really do. So 100 coins there to win back 167. I'm also going to put 100 coins on the San Francisco Seattle under 47 and a half. It's again another alt total here. It's minus 157. 100 coins there to win back 164. I think this week is a week where you can attack some of these overs and unders. And that's what I'm doing here. I just can't see this one getting over 47 and a half. We know the defense here. We know it's a division game. That usually spells under. Weather shouldn't be too big of an issue, but all that said, I do like the under 47 and a half. So those are my two wagers for the Saturday games.
Yeah, it might not be an underdog weekend necessarily, but I do think it is an under type of week. I have two offerings for the grab bag here, one for each game. In the first game, Jamie G, I'm going to throw a little two-leg single game parlay on your guy, Khalil Shakir. I think they're going to move him around. He's going to operate out of the slot a fair amount, so we probably won't see Sertan much when he's there. He's the guy Josh Allen trusts the most, so I feel very confident he can get two minor things here. He can get 40 plus receiving yards. That's minus 176 and 5 plus receptions. Like you said, got double digit targets last week. That's minus 180. So Khalil Shakir, 5 receptions, 40 plus yards. That's plus 138. 100 coins to bring back 238. I think that works pretty much no matter how the game script turns out. And then, of course, for the Seattle Seahawks, I am just betting on the kicker here. Give me 100 cricket coins on Jason Myers to make two or more field goals, minus 156. 100 coins to bring back about 164. If nothing else, you can bank on Jason Myers. Like I said, almost set the kicking record this year. Been very, very good. Expect him to have multiple chances here against San Francisco.
Before we go any further, let's just pause for a second. I mean, why not? Who doesn't enjoy a good tease? I know I do. You know my tease.
Jamie G likes to tease us whenever possible. Last week I had the teaser offering for Saturday. I missed on that one. I think I hit two of three legs, but booked a loss of 100 cricket coins. In the playoffs for the teasers right now, Jamie G is down 200 coins. I'm down about 126. Our collaborative teasers are down 100, putting us down about 426 coins to the teasers for the playoffs. Overall, for the teasers, Jamie G is down about 1,004 cricket coins. I'm down about 612. Our collaborative teasers are down about 160, putting us down about 1,776 cricket coins overall for the teasers. Jamie G, very patriotic, but not very profitable. Try to keep it patriotic while also turning us towards profitability here with a teaser for this Saturday slate in the divisional round. You know my tease.
I've got a nice little two-leg 6 point teaser here. Leg number one, I'm teasing the Bills up to plus 7.5. I just trust Josh Allen to keep it close here, and keep this game as close as he can. I like the plus 7.5 number. If you get it in today before the line moves, and then I'm going to tease Seattle down to -1. They're healthy at home, coming off the bye. San Francisco super banged up. I really like the chances here, Seattle winning this game. So I'm going to tease Buffalo up to plus 7.5 and tease Seattle down to -1. Combine that together on the teaser, you get minus 135 odds, 100 coins to win back 174.
All right. I think I'm definitely with you there on the Buffalo side, especially getting the 7.5. I might have gone with the under on the Seattle side just to kind of price in the Darnold of it all, but I think I'm there with it. And maybe that's my problem. I always like to explore all avenues, which sometimes leads me down the avenue of degeneracy. It's a quick slide sometimes it's more gradual. All we know, there are 3 degrees to it. This is the 3 degrees of degeneracy. I'm going to show you how it works. Last week on Saturday in the degeneracy, I turned a profit of about 32 coins. For the playoffs, I'm up about 139 coins in the degeneracy. But overall, with the regular season included, still down about 1,034 cricket coins to the degeneracy. So still a very much a card carrying degenerate. First up here at the first degree of degeneracy, we have the flounder. Just dipping our toes here into the waters of degeneracy like flounder in Animal House. I have 100 cricket coins on the Buffalo at Denver game to start slowly. Under 22 and a half points in the first half. Buffalo at Denver. 100 coins to bring back 205. The Broncos offense has started slowly. Like Jamie G said, I think the Bills are going to try to run the rock, kind of extend their drives here, leading to a kind of somewhat boring, low scoring first half. Degree number 2 of the degeneracy, we have the Barney in honor of our guy, Barney Gumble, down there at Moe's Tavern. He's not quite all the way degenerate yet, so he's still got 50 cricket coins, and we're going to put him on JSN. 50 cricket coins on Jackson Smith in Jigba to have 100 plus rushing yards, plus 164, 50 coins to bring back 132. Believe he had 7 of these on the regular season. He's going to keep it rolling, nice and rested, coming off of the bye week. And then finally, we have the cricket in honor of Rickety Cricket, the 3rd degree of degeneracy. He's living under a bridge with dogs. He's desperate. He's got 25 coins. He's rubbing them together, praying for a miracle, and he's going to put them on Jamie G's guy, Dalton Kincaid, to have 5 plus receptions. That's plus 255. So 25 coins to bring back about 100. So 25 coins to bring back about 89. Not enough to be living the high life, getting lobster, but at least enough to use that vibrating bed at the Motel 6.
And that's enough to have a good time. If you need me to pick up after all that degeneracy, you're in luck because it's time for the parlay partay.
Last week on the Saturday slate in the wild card round, Jamie G had the only offering and he got home, so he turned a profit of about 517 coins. For the playoffs, the parlays have been going well. Jamie G's up 517. I'm up 415. So we're up about 932 cricket coins here. Across all slates, including the regular season, Jamie G is up 1,070 coins with the parlays. I'm down 315. Our collaborative parlays are down 500, but we're still in the green here, plus 225 cricket coins for the parlays. This week it falls to me to give the offering for the Saturday slate. I have a 4-leg SGPX here as available on DraftKings. Basically, you enable the X and you can parlay single game parlays with just about whatever you want. Leg number 1, Jamie G's guy, 8 plus rushing attempts. He's putting it all on his back here, minus 140. Very, very confident in this one. Just going to tone down the Dalton Kincaid receiving prop here for leg number 2. Dalton Kincaid, 3 plus receptions, nice and easy, only minus 190. And then we're going to take the under in that San Francisco at Seattle game, under 45 and a half, minus 115. Okay, we're cooking now. And then leg number 4, don't think that San Francisco can really run the ball. They're going to have to throw it to Christian McCaffrey, especially with no George Kittle. So give me Christian McCaffrey, 6 plus receptions. That's minus 177. You parlay these 4 legs together. Josh Allen, 8 plus rushing attempts. Dalton Kincaid, 3 plus receptions. Seattle at San Francisco at Seattle, under 45 and a half, and Christian McCaffrey, 6 plus receptions. Your odds are plus 660, so throw 100 coins on that, bringing home 760 coins, and we might be able to buy a little bit of steak and lobster with that one.
As always, we're going to close out the show with a visit to the glorious Golden Goose, provider of the golden eggs, which we pass on to you via our favorite wagers for each game.
Last week on the Saturday slate, I booked a loss of about 55 coins to the Goose. Jamie G, you booked a win of about 18 coins, so finished up down about 37. Not great, not the worst. Certainly could do worse. For the playoffs in the Goose, I am up about 760 coins. You're down about 557, leaving us up about 203 overall. When you include the regular season, I am up about 133 coins in the Goose. You're down about 951, putting us down about 818. Jamie G, you got the Bills game up first. I'm going to let you lead us off. Turn the luck around here for everybody. Take the golden egg, spread the love, spread the wealth.
I'm going to go ahead and put 400 coins on my guy, James Cook, for an anytime touchdown. Like him to find the end zone this week. It's minus 105, 400 coins there to win back 781.
It's only the question of whether it's Josh Allen or James Cook getting in the end zone. Hopefully, for Jamie G's sake, it will be both. For that Bills game, I'm just going to kind of hedge a little bit here. I'm just going to say Buffalo at Denver. Neither of the teams scores 30 or more points. That's minus 140, so not the greatest odds. But we got 400 coins on this, bringing back about 676. Thought about trying to go with the under. It just feels to me this game could maybe get like, I don't know, you call it that 28 to 24 range, something like that. Just going to bank on no one putting up a number that starts with a 3 here. In the nightcapper, I am just going to basically go with the under. I'm actually going to take it down a little bit on the alternate total. I have 400 cricket coins on San Francisco at Seattle, under 42 and a half. Turning it down a couple of points here to get my odds up to plus 118. So that's 400 cricket coins to bring back 872. I wish I had the balls to say under 38 or something. I think it really could be that kind of low scoring affair, but I'm very happy to take the plus 118 at the under 42 and a half. Jamie G finish us off. Final golden egg from the Golden Goose in the Saturday nightcapper here. Who you got?
I'm going to put 400 coins on Christian McCaffrey to have under 53 and a half rushing yards. It's minus 109. 400 coins to win 767. Listen, man, I'm putting my money on Seattle's defense at home. It's really the game plan's got to be slow down McCaffrey. Don't let him run the football. Make them do something else to beat you. With all the injuries they have on the outside, I think that's the name of the game. And I think Seattle has the ability to do it. They've got a good run defense, especially at home. So I'm taking the under here on McCaffrey, under 53 and a half.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And even more importantly, it does not conflict with me liking Christian McCaffrey to be involved in the receiving game. So it's a very classic everyone wins scenario, which I am very much in favor of.
Well, we are very much in favor of you checking out another episode of Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Thanks again for checking us out. It's going to be a fun divisional weekend. Good luck. Make some bets. Have a great time. Go Bills. Let us know if you like anything we're doing or if you got something else juicy. We'd love to hear it too. You can drop a comment below or Mills will let you know. You can find all of our stuff.
My Birds lost, but so that allows me to be on the Bills bandwagon here. I am Go Bills as well, and go you for checking out this episode of Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Greatly appreciated. Hope you check back in next time. You can find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF and on the web at seizethegapff.com. Nice and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please remember to touch that thumb. I am Magnum Mills with Jamie G, reminding you to seize that gap so you can stop being so inefficient.
And we don't care if you're old. You need to seize the gap.
Gone when you wake in the morning, gone when you find that there's no one sleeping.